Hello, welcome to Little Moon Tarot. I was just sitting here fiddling around thinking about stuff, and I dropped my deck because my deck needs to do a reading today, so that's what I was getting ready for. And so the interesting part was that originally it was the Three of Wands and the Knight of Wands that came out. And so because I am not perfect, and none of us are perfect, so I shouldn't say it so fiercely. Dear ADHD, don't say this so fiercely. And that is exactly what this whole thing ended up being about. And I was like, oh my god. So, I've given everybody the spoilers, right? Because, hello. As a matter of fact, yeah, hello. So, yeah. I love you, Rachel. I'm just saying. I love your face so much, my friend. If you should watch this. So basically, I was looking it up, and I was like, the Three of Wands and the Knight of Wands. And the Three of Wands was talking about, because I don't know them all by heart, so sometimes I just shuffle through my cards, and then whatever one pops out I read and I go through and I kind of study. And sometimes you got to study. Remember that if you have ADHD or you're neurodivergent, you study at your own pace. If studying weirdly, oddly works for you, then that means that's your typical way of studying that works for you, and you keep it up and you tell other people about it. And what I always say is, this is what I do. It doesn't work for everybody. Just implement it in your life in whatever way you feel that you can, or if you can't, then you have information for somebody else who might need it, Because what doesn't fit for me may fit for someone else. It's like when I recommend product to my clients, because I'm a hairdresser, I always tell them, I can't use this product because my hair is too fine for it and it would really weigh it down. But I've used it on other clients, and this is the result I've felt on it. And I think this would work well for your hair. You see what I'm saying? So the Three of Wands is basically balance, okay? A three in this suit symbolizes an inner balance that allows you to feel more optimistic about new endeavors you are committed to or want to commit to This energy must be patient and trusting, because he or she will have to wait some time to find out how this all fares out. This is the card of balance and patience, and realizing that it's going to take time. Everything that you need to do takes time and mindfulness. I was like, okay, yeah, because I was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. Because sometimes I go to the page and I see it in front of me. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that. And I read the first word, and then the whole thing comes back. And for my neurodivergent mind, this is how I learned to study. It's actually, I find, fascinating. Excuse me, pardon me. Definitely allergy season on Lake Ontario. The little, I'm just futzing around here. The little wishes are all over the place. They're floofing all over the place, but not like they used to. It used to be so bad that the people getting ice cream would get all over their ice cream. It was disgusting. It was like ice cream floof. So then I was like, okay, yeah, let's look up the Knights. Knight of Wands, like the Three of Wands and Knight of Wands. That's interesting. And when I first started reading this, I was like, I have no idea what this means. Absolutely no idea what this means. This suit, we don't need to go through that. Well, actually, Wands, the suit of Wands represents initiative, ambition, drive, desire. This is the suit of enterprise and risk-taking. This character is traditionally called the Knight, sometimes the Prince, Traditionally, this card indicates the energy of an instigator, a fire starter, a feisty and easily provoked character who is liable to attack first and ask questions later. And I was like, what the hell is that? Like, what is that? Like, what does that have to do with me? Like, and then I stopped and I realized that, through COVID and your doctor putting you on the wrong medication that took away your structure, your ADHD kind of became uncontrollable, and now you can recognize completely the hyperactive side and the peaceful side. And I went, oh my God, that's what this is. This is about ADHD. This is about how, and let me know how you feel your ADHD, because everyone's body feels different. So what I feel with my ADHD, now I'm 52, I had structure, then the structure was taken away. I am now regaining structure, and that's just relearning how to, get my dishes done, basically, And I've also recently realized how neurodivergent I am, so my whole brain is doing we were over here and just thought we were odd and quirky, and then it went shift, and it's like, oh, no. This goes along with the dyslexia and the dyscalculia that you already knew that you had. This is just the rest of it, and oh, look at your mother. She kind of has ADHD and high functioning autism, and oh, geez, your dad, dyscalculia and dyslexia and 100% autism and ADHD. And then you sit there and you realize, my grandfather used to sit on the porch and just think about math, and you're like, oh, this explains so very, very much. So, oh my God, that's too funny. Like, that was a story, wasn't it? So it's like, I don't know, I think I just got off track and lost. I'm sorry. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what this whole thing is actually about. It's about recognizing what side is your hyper side. That's what we were talking about, like where the feeling comes from. And so let's get back on track, because you know what? When you're neurodivergent, sometimes you have to learn how you are able to get back on track and backtrack to where you were. And I'll tell you from experience, the more you learn how to do that and the more you implement it, the easier it is to get there. So, like, if I can't remember what a word is, I will stop, because I've always got like another word in my head or a blank. So I stop and I relax the blank, because the blank is like a hyperactivity anxiety. And I relax that blank, and then this strange word, whatever it is, that associates no way to the word I'm looking for, is there. And then I go through the other words that kind of have the right meaning until I have relaxed my brain to the point where it finds the word itself that it needs. And it's kind of a backwards thing, because a lot of people with neurodivergence were kind of backwards a little bit. Like, maybe like for myself, walking backwards, it's like, going backwards is easier than walking forwards. It's just like, I've always done that. Like, my mom was like, my God, you walk backwards everywhere. It's like you got eyes in the back of your head. And I'm like, yeah, this is just more comfortable. She's like, you're weird. And I'm like, yeah, you're a kid. So that's what this is talking about, recognizing that side and recognizing when you become hyperactive. Recognizing the side that's balanced, because the side of the balance is what you're looking for. That's the side that's getting the dishes done. This is the side that's making the bed. This is the side that's taking the shower. This is the side that's relaxed and not hyperactive and can sit and watch a movie and focus on it, or crochet and focus on it, or study or read or whatever and focus on one thing until the Knight of Wands shows up. And then it's you're in the middle of reading, you read one word, and all of a sudden you're hyperactively getting angry over something that happened 10 years ago for absolutely no reason. And what these two cards are saying is, and the interesting thing about the Knight of Wands, which is actually what made me realize that both of these cards were about the two sides of ADHD, is that Let's see, where was it? Let's see. Firestar feisty, easily provoked character who is liable to attack first and ask questions later. This energy is quick to anger and enjoys a fight. So much so that the thought of a diplomatic solution can provoke a secret disappointment. And that is also about sometimes when you have ADHD and you get excited about something, your hyperactive side takes over and it makes it overkill. Like, I know we're going to go to this concert. I know we're going to go. I know we're going to go. I know we're going to go. And then, you find out that no one was able to get tickets, and now you hyped yourself up so much to go see Taylor Swift that now you have just crashed to the ground and you can't cope with anything because you brought yourself so high. It's saying you've got to balance that. You've got to balance that. Oh, and anybody who has, I have it, what's it called? The one where you don't like to take orders. We'll think of it in a second. Wait, let's go backwards. It's not dissociative disorder. This is how I do this. It's not dissociative disorder. Dysregula, no. Diplomatic, dyspolic, no. Sometimes I get words that aren't even words. Dissociative, no. What are we going for? Oh yeah, dissociative, no, not dissociative. It's disorder, domineering, it's just there. It is disorder. When you don't like being told what to do, it is a defiance disorder. There it is. Yeah! Yes! Defiance! Yes, defiance disorder. And the more you do that, the more you become accustomed to doing that, even if you just practice in the quiet moments, the quicker it comes. And then after a while, it just, it's just easier to get that word. I mean, it might even still be a two-step process because you have ADHD and everything is like a two-step process. Let's turn the lights out, click, and then you click them off. But, even that is how our brains work. And that's perfectly acceptable because our brains are perfectly acceptable the way that they are. We just have to learn how they work for us and take advantage of how it works. See what I'm saying? Wow, that's like, wow. So, the Knight of Wands, his vices are bossiness, paranoia, and a tendency towards overkill. Nevertheless, there are times when his energy is perfectly appropriate, like when his assertively protective nature is defending and threatening treasures or interfering with dark forces that are going to hurt your balance. The trick is to keep a sense of proportion when the knight unleashes his fire. And that's what made me realize that this is ADHD, because the hyperactive, your active side of you, I don't know if you guys can feel it. I always feel it coming out of the left side of my body, like this big giant anime fire dragon sort of like thing that, the right side of my body, which is more of the Three of Wands, more of the mindful balance side of the ADHD, because I have ADHD 3, which is a combination of hyperactive and inattentive. And it's kind of like, as long as I'm noticing that big giant fire dragon, the more I can look at the big giant fire dragon and go, hey, my Knight of Wands, do we really need to act like this right now? Do I need to be this hyperactively angry? But the thing is this is also the guy that, like, when you're a nurse and someone crashes and you have to run and grab the crash cart, this is the guy that kicks in, and then this guy kicks in, and the balance of this guy goes with the balance of this guy, these guys just join. And Queen, King, oh my God, I wonder, and it just creates complete balance so that you can go and you can help your patient in the way that you need to. Or if you see a car accident, you can pull off to the side of the road and you can help someone. Like this is when that energy starts to work together. But when it doesn't work together, it's going off this way. And the point of this reading is to say, wherever you are in your journey, it may be time. And please understand, if you have a defiance disorder, this is what I was going to tell you. I am not telling you what to do. And I am not going to suggest to you what to do. I am just going to give you information for you to take in your own time and glean when you choose to and fit whatever works for you into your life. And you do not ever have to think in anything that I'm saying that I am telling you what to do, because I can't do that. Only you can tell yourself what to do. Only I can tell myself that, hey, you need to start getting up earlier because sleeping till 4 in the afternoon pisses you off, because then now you've missed the majority of the day. Only you can change yourself and tell yourself what to do. I can't do that, so I want you to know that. But the cards are saying it may be time to, if you might be at that point where you're actually recognizing that this is what that hyperactive side feels like, and it's time to get this guy in balance. Because once you got him in balance, it makes it easier. Like, I'm not going to say the dopamine is always there to do your dishes, but you are more likely to be able to look at the dishes there, not feel so anxious, and actually end up with a game plan that even if you don't do it that day and you do it next week, you still are accomplishing something, because now you can put it in the game plan. Now you can go to the sink. Now you can do those dishes that you said you were going to do, and then when they're dry, you can put them away. Or now you can do that game plan where you put them in the dishwasher the way that you need to, and then the next day you can put them away and then put in your next load the way that you need to. That's all, that is. Ooh, no idea. Wow, this is just very strong. Yeah, and the two of these together, when they work, when these guys are working together, actually end up equaling the Ace of Wands. An Ace of Wands of this suit in this position symbolizes a pivotal act, a fateful step that will let loose a chain of events leading towards your desired goal. Refers to a birth or a new beginning. And this is kind of like, if you've watched Steven Universe, when the fusion comes together to work together to help, Like when sardonyx gets together, this is that, But they don't need to always be together. Yes, there are going to be times when your hyperactive side is just going to be hyperactive and you just have to sit there and fume, because you have every right to be fuming. You just have to ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you need to fume this much? Because your hyperactive side will always pull everything out of proportion, and that's what you've got to remember. This guy isn't balanced, but this guy is. This guy can come into balance in an emergency, and then they can come together and fuse, right? But on a whole, this guy just isn't naturally balanced. So you have to kind of butt up against and be friends with and neighbors with and balance that hyperactive side by talking to it, which might sound cray-cray. However, we all talk to ourselves anyway if we have ADHD. So, yeah. So, let me know in the comments if you talk to yourself a lot. And they're saying, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I feel weird saying that. But yeah, so this is about talking to that hyperactive side and saying, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, Do I need to be this angry about this? You know, you're just fit to be tied because of this that happened that, you know, to anybody else would be like, yeah, it's upsetting, but it's, you know, your ice cream fell on the ground. It's upsetting, but just gonna go get another one and tell them, and they'll give you a free ice cream because they'll look at you and go, yeah, we see it's not on your cone, it's on the ground over there. Because that just does happens, and they know that. They know that ice cream falls off, you know? But the fact of the matter is, your hyperactive side gets really disappointed and it gets angry and it gets fuming, and so fuming that you don't want the ice cream anymore. You just want to punch everything in sight. You just want to get raging. You just want to get angry. And it becomes irrational. And it becomes a little unstable for some people, you know? So this balance side has to kind of butt up and go, hey, our ice cream fell on the ground. We are at 10 right now, okay? We're ready to go and defeat the world. But at the end of the day, it's an ice cream. And this sucks. And what we do is you validate your feelings and emotions, and you say, you know what, it sucks. It really freaking sucks. You know, this time I'm going to go up, I'm going to tell them, and I'm going to ask for it in a dish. Because this giant ass ice cream that nobody can eat, that I didn't realize a large was this tall. And I'm not joking when I say a large ice cream like this. Not joking. And, you know, everybody knows it's going to fall. So then, you know, you have to validate this hyperactivity's feelings and emotions and say, because it is like having two separate, for me, it almost feels like, and I know it sounds silly, but it's like two different sets of feelings and emotions. Like it's like split. It's weird. But that's how I feel it in my body. But you've got to come up next to it and say, hey, your feelings are valid. This really sucks. It's fair for you to feel that. It's fair for you to, definitely fair for you to be upset. However, how upset do you need to be? Do you need to be so upset that you're raging and crying and melting down? Or is it just, yeah, I'm really fucking pissed. And now I'm going to go up to the window and I'm going to look at them and I'm going to go, yeah, my ice cream fell over there. Is it possible to get another one? And they'll go, yeah, and go, can we put it in a dish this time? And they'll be like, yeah, this really sucks. And you'll be like, yeah, and then you'll get the validation from the other person, and they know that this does happen. So they, you know, they get it, and it's always disappointing. It's what you do with that disappointment, because as you learn how to talk to this hyperactive side, you're actually setting up more shelves in the structure of everything that you do, so that when you do get angry and another ice cream does fall, you're not as angry as you were. Or when that glass of water falls and it's, you know, water and shards of glass everywhere, you're angry, but you're not as angry as you would be. It actually helps calm down the hyperactive side, because if you don't help to alleviate the anxiety that the hyperactive side feels, then it's always going to be angry instead of it's always going to be a hyperactive angry instead of a hyperactive calm. Because the hyperactive calm is, oh my god, the glass of the water with the water fell on the floor. Okay, where are the dogs? Okay, yep. And now you're getting a little scared, and now you're getting a little worried, and now you're getting a little anxious. But you're not going into screaming mode and freaking out and screaming everywhere. You're just looking at dogs going, okay, let's go. And then you just lock them out of the kitchen and you clean it up. And then, you know, you just mop that little area and whatever it is you're going to do. And that's how these two start to work together. And then strength popped out. Oh yeah, because that's 6 for balance. And then 5 plus 1 is 6. Yep. And that takes, in the line, of course, is strength. And I'm taking that literally as the strength of a lion. And it takes strength. You know, you got to kind of put these two there and then have strength. So the more you learn how to do that, 9 and 5 too. The more you, oh yeah, and 11 with 5 and 51, 5 and 1, yeah. And so the more you do this, the more you restructure your brain so that as you're aging, and like I say, I'm 52, so And I mean, I looked out and my mom was a doll. She just, I, my mom was like Tori Phantom, to be very honest. A little bit more like Tori Phantom and Gwenna together. She's a lot like Gwenna. She really was. If you haven't seen them, check them out. They're just simply amazing. I love them so much. Um, but yeah, I mean, my mom gentle parented me and gave me the structure I needed and made me realize that, I didn't like to be demanded to do things, that I had to be asked to do things. And that's, something important, that sometimes maybe you have to look at your friend your friend group, and say, hey, I love you guys, but I know that sometimes I get weird when you tell me to do stuff. I've realized that, hey, can you just like low-key ask me to do stuff? Like, I know it sounds stupid, but it's just what my brain needs, and it doesn't mean that I won't do it. It's just, this is how you get me to do stuff. It's like learning how to trick yourself. Like, one of the things I do is like, I knew I had to make chocolate for my coffee, and I have not had coffee in 2 days. Oh my god. Big mistake. Big mistake. I've been quoting Pretty Woman way too much lately. I mean, it's been cray. So, I wanted to make it not last night, but the night before. And I'm stimming. And so it got too late, and I was just sitting pretty much just doing nothing, not even creating art, which was just bad. And but I was just like super tired too. But so I'm like, okay, no, if I go in the kitchen and I just at least wash the pan I need to do it, and the thing I need to store it in, and this, that, and the other thing, and get my cup ready for coffee so I don't have to wash anything, then later on when I come out, I'll be more likely to do it. So when I got up today, everything I needed was already done. So I was able to just go and make the coffee chocolate and not feel bad. And as I'm making it, that's when I realized that as I'm trying to get the dishes done, because I have definitely swept the floor. Actually, some cat toys over there and a little bit of fluff I missed. No, that's the cat's plastic. That's always plastic. I realized that as I'm because I'm doing 5 dishes, as you do those 5 dishes, you also need to do the dishes you were using the day before, so it feels like you're accomplishing something. And that way, once all of your dishes are done, you've now formed a new habit of doing your dishes every either evening before you go to bed, or in the morning or afternoon before you start doing anything else. It's restructure. It's learning to restructure, and that's what, as we grow as people who are neurodivergent, that's what we need. We're growing our structure, where other people, they're born with it, and they know they just have, by the time they're 19, they know they have to just click the light off. For us, it takes I'll be very honest, I was like 33 in my own house. This house. I was in this house when I realized, oh my god, I've been turning the lights off all by myself, and I must have been doing it for like a year at that point. It was the funniest thing. But, that's what it takes, and that's what this reading is saying. It's saying it's time for those who are ready to start bringing these guys together. And if you're at a point where you're not ready to kind of bring them together, you might actually be at a point where you're starting to recognize how you feel when you're hyperactive and how you feel when you're calm. And this is letting you know that this is the next step, is starting to talk to the hyperactive side. Because the more you get the hyperactive side in control, which is what the hyperactive side wants, it wants you to have it in control, the easier it will be. Because I'll tell you, when you do have to be angry, when you have it in control and you do have to be angry, and this Knight of Wands does have to come out, and he does get anxious in his cups, he ends up being fearless because he has this balance of this 3. He has the strength that goes along with it and this balance of the 6. And the balance of the 51 because 5 plus 1 is 6. So, you know, and if you're not there yet, this is just cluing you into, oh, hey, did you know this? Because I honestly, and like I say, this is my, this is what came up, and this is, you know, I'm talking about partially my experience, because that's kind of like, I'm going to go off a neurodivergent deep end now. How do I say it the right way? This is what the reading showed me, and I'm giving you the example from my life of where this has fit in over the last 52 years. Because as neurodivergent people, we do stuff by association, and that's why we tell so many stories to let the other person know that we understand. It's a lot like Darmok and Jalad. Darmok and Jalad. And if you get that, my Heleneros, because I do not like the word neurospicy, because this guy is spicy, and when this guy isn't in control, this guy can get us into trouble. So spicy can start to take on a bad connotation. That's why I like Helenero, because it's like, oh, yeah, you're autistic? Yeah. ADHD 3? Yeah. Dyslexia? Oh, yeah. Dyscalculia? Yeah, don't let me give you change for a quarter. Change for a quarter. Change for $1, because I will give you 5 quarters, and my brain will tell me 5 quarters are 4 quarters. Like it literally will do that. It will change 1s into L's. It will do like when I'm driving and you see those curve things. Like, you know, in math when you do greater or lesser, I can't understand those. They make no sense. I can't tell which side, and it doesn't matter how many times you tell me, I can't remember. It's one of those things where I'll tell you, sometimes you just have to accept the things that you're not going to remember, and once you do that, you're like, okay, this I'm definitely never going to know when I drive, and the curvy thing is, and you can explain it to me one time and I will completely understand it, and then 20 minutes later I'll have no idea what it meant. That is the one kind of thing that I can sit there and say, okay, I'm just never going to understand that. But the rest of everything else, I choose to try to understand until I get to a point where I realize my brain's just not crossing that barrier right now. And maybe later on I'll figure out another way to understand it, because often we just need things resaid to us in a different way so that we understand them better. Also, if anybody is watching this and you need somebody who is neurodivergent, who has defiance disorder, see, I couldn't remember it there for a second. Just remember them. Ask them, hey, could you please help me do this? Hey, when you get a second, could you help me with this? Oh my God, this spilled. Hey, could you help me and grab me this? Hey, could you please grab, saying could you please grab me some paper towels because this fell goes a lot further with us than get me some paper towels, because we're just going to look at you like, especially if we already knew and we have the paper towels in our hand and then you tell us to clean it up, we'll just hand you the paper towels. So that's what I do. That's why I swear to God, every boss I've ever had, I've always said, listen, I know this sounds stupid, but if you really need me to do something, can you please just ask me to do it? I said, it's my brain, it's weird, and I have this thing where if you tell me, I don't do it even though I know that I should. I'm like, and then I tell them, give me a minute or two before you tell me to do something that you're thinking of, because often I'm already in the process of doing it, and you're telling me to do something while I'm in the middle of getting the paper towels to clean up the mess, or while I already have them in my hand. Like, when you think of it, you've got to give me a second to do it. I actually had to explain that to my mom, believe it or not. I had to explain that to my mom, and especially about not the telling me thing, but there was like something else that was kind of along those lines in a way. Um, but yeah, and even she was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then once we applied that to our relationship, it made a huge difference. So yeah, this is truly saying it is time to, if you are neurodivergent and you don't know this, here's a heads up. If you are neurodivergent and you're just noticing, this is how to start. And if you're neurodivergent and you're here and you're just like, oh, it's definitely time to start doing that more intense talking and whatnot, let's add the strength up in here. Let's fuse together. Let's, because once these guys get together, they do fuse together a little bit more. It ends up being, like, I can never cook everything together. I'm sorry, like, the allergies are, like, big. It is so nice out, though. It's so cool. But yeah, like, when these two start to kind of come together, and this does happen with age. This is not an immediate thing. This structure grows and changes as you grow older. It really and truly does. So it ends up being fascinating. This is the kind of structure that once it starts to kind of come together better, like if you cook Thanksgiving dinner and you can't get everything timed to be ready at the same time or thereabouts in the appropriate amounts of times and whatever, because you're always going to have something you're sticking in an oven or sticking in a crock pot or whatever to heat up and keep hot. This allows you to do that in a better fashion in an easier time, in whatever way it works for you. Because everything we do, we have to fit it in the way that it works for us. So I can give you the information I have and how I do it, but you just have to take that, examine it, and go, how can I implement this in my life? What part of this works for me here, but this part of what I do here works here, and maybe, like a Lego, they kind of like, go together and go, oh yeah, I can definitely like fit this in. Like you're struggling and you're doing 5 dishes every day, but I just said, you've also got to do the dishes that you use that day. Well, now you're doing those dishes you use that day, and now you feel like you're accomplishing something more. You have to put it in where it works the best for you, meld it together, fuse. So yeah, this is about the two sides of neurodivergence. That's true too, because if you have autism and ADHD, they will fight each other. Like I had a good solid month where I had all 4, the dyslexia, dyscalculia, autism, and ADHD, just completely fighting each other, which is why I have so many dishes. But that's okay, because they're going to get done little by little. The fact is, I got to put some dishes away tonight, and then I do the dishes I did today, and I do the dishes that are in my sink right now, and then tomorrow I put those away, and I'm going to do the other dishes that are in the other side of the bay. See how that goes? And any dishes I used today or yesterday. Yep, and that's what I do, and that works. My goodness. My glasses. My speckled taters. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true too. For as much as we don't like to be told what to do. We also have a problem with not telling the, we just have to tell the truth. Yeah, that's true too. Because the Queen of Swords just came out as well. And that's what we have to remember too, is that she often has extremely high standards due to her subtle sensitivity, which can be perceived by those around her as being critical or hard to please. Her true motive is to refine the world to upgrade people's understanding so that everyone can have the space they need to become fully themselves. And she is not interested in conforming. She is too intelligent to be confined to the role of housewife or nursemaid. Although she is perfectly competent in those areas, she chooses her associations or her solitude, and is seldom caught up in dependent relationships, at least not for long. Her intelligence is not always the most comfortable to be around, but she can be counted on to see through the superficiality and point to the truth of a situation. And that also goes along with having strength. I mean, this is like, and technically, the lion can be a symbol of defiance disorder, to be very honest, because is a lion really going to do what you tell it? No, it's not. But with that balance, she will. This is a reading all about balancing those two sides. So that one side isn't always taking over the other side. And of course, this felt to me exactly like my ADHD. And for you, you might find it looking at something else in your life, and that, apply it as it needs to go. But also remember that even though you can be in balance of yourself and you know for yourself that this works, it doesn't work for everybody. So always step back and realize that, like I say, this is what I do, and you have to implement it in your life. If you tell somebody that this is what is going to work, one, the people it doesn't work for, they're going to be very upset with you. But two, the other people aren't going to like it that you're demanding that they do it the way that you think it should be done. So everybody does things in their own way. And that's why I always suggest, not even suggest, I just say, I give you the information, and then you fit it where you feel you need to in the time that you need to. And if you don't want to, if you're just like, oh, yeah, all right, I'm going to store that for later, and then in 3 months you're thinking about it and going, oh, hey, why don't I try that? Great. If in 3 months you're thinking about it and you're like, oh, yeah, that doesn't apply to me, but, oh, hey, I should tell my friend over there. There you go. That's this is balance. Like, this is the inner balance. You have these two, the Three of Wands and the Knight of Wands, that can be separate. This is the hyperactivity, and this is the excuse me, pardon me. The word, I lost it. Inattentive. It started with indecision, went to inattentive. This is kind of more the inattentive, but also the balance that even if you can't do your dishes because you just don't have the dopamine to do it, it doesn't mean that this side isn't balanced and realizing, okay, this is not all right. Because you do. The inattentive side does get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm ready to do the dishes, but I just can't get up and do them. And that's when you have to start, looking at the hyperactive side and going, where in the hell are you? And that's when, these two have to become one. Because once these two become one, they can kind of balance themselves out together. And they're always going to be in unity as you grow. Okay? They're always going to be in unity as you grow. And that's the most important thing, because as you grow as a human, you still have to gain structure when you're neurodivergent. We're not born with the bookshelves we need to put all the books on. When we're born, we have to learn how to plant the trees, and then we have to learn how to cut the trees, and then we have to learn how to mill the trees, and then we have to learn how to put the bookcases together. But first, we got to learn how to, dig the ore and make the nails to put it all together. And then we have to learn how to make the pulp wood so that we can write and make the ink. It's a complicated process. And that's why for neurodivergent children, gentleness and asking and calmness achieve a lot more than demand. Because just demanding literally will not ever get you anywhere short of getting you a temper tantrum. And, God, neurodivergent temper tantrum, I remember my own. I'm telling you, I don't know how my mother put up with me. There was one day in the middle of the Kmart, she left the aisle. She left the aisle and she left me there, and I ran after her, and she's like, "Yeah, don't start again." And I'm like, okay. She was amazing. But, yeah, that's what this reading is about. It's saying this is your time. This is your time to start, realizing that you can build your structure if you don't know this. It's time to, oh yeah, let's start building the structure if you're just like, oh yeah, it makes sense, If you're kind of like in the realization that, oh yeah, that's what I have to do. And for the people who are just like really in the middle of building their structure and now it's time to put your bookshelves on, your books on the bookshelf and bring it more together and get that balance and space that you need, that yin and that yang. Very much so, that yin and that yang, so that you can create this balance right here of the Queen of Swords. I never looked up the Six of Coins, but it really isn't about the Six of Coins. It really is about the strength of that lion. But let's all learn. Let's all learn. Let's see. Yeah, this is not a Six of Coins. This is definitely the Lion of Strength rather than the Six of Coins. So, because it does take strength to bring these two together and to talk the hyperactivity down to a point where everything makes sense, where you can spill the ice cream and be like, motherfucker. All right, well, you know what? Did I hold this ice cream correctly? No. Because once you put that in, that hyperactivity into balance, you realize, oh, well, it's not like I was holding the ice cream correctly. I should have gotten a dish because even I saw that this thing was gonna fall, and in my head I thought about it, and here it is, it's fallen, and you realize what you need to do next time. It's like growth. It's like bringing these two together help you bring that boulder up the hill easier. Like you're halfway there, bringing these two together is now, extra strength to bring that back over, that back up to the top of the hill. And you're going to keep that because once it rolls down, you'll, relax and you'll go down the hill like I always say, and, figure out what you need to do there, stop, have some lunch, and then, you'll start going again. And when you need a little strength, you'll come back together and do what you got to do. And that's part of learning and growing and changing. Also part of loving yourself. It's part of learning to love yourself instead of disliking yourself. And another thing is there's two arrows in this heart. Don't break your own heart. Make sure you're not self-gaslighting and telling yourself that you're stupid, because the minute you do that, it really does tear up that hyperactive side into just absolute self-hatred. And when you're neurodivergent, it's very easy to have your own self-hatred because it just is. And that's a structure that we have to learn too, is that we have to rewind the self-hatred and ask, are we really stupid? No. No. Are we really dumb? No. Do we just feel stupid and dumb in the moment because like we totally should have seen that step and we fell forward and maybe broke our arm? Yeah. Well, then, we learned. So, it's kind of like, it's kind of like that, and so then you bring the structures together and then you're, more real, you can realize things more. Anyway, so I think that's where I'm going to leave that, because I don't, short of repeating the same exact things constantly, there's really not a lot more to say short of, time to do the self-work and bring yourself together. And this isn't hard. This is stuff that you want to do. This is stuff that you're ready to do. And when you hear this message, you're not going to recoil and go, you're not going to do that. And if that's what you're doing, that's okay. That's okay to feel that way, though that's a very valid feeling and emotion. And at the end of the day, if you're still here listening to this and you have had that reaction to it, maybe in a couple of years you'll think about this and it will fit for you in your life in a couple of years where it needs to. It's just not fitting there for you right now, and I am 100% okay with that. Not everything can fit everybody, and not everybody is ready to move on to the next stage because they're still doing work in the stage that they're at, So, but for the rest of you, this is your sign that it's that time. And the thing is you won't have an to it. You'll have like a, oh, I didn't know that. And then in a few months, you'll start thinking about it. Or you'll have a, oh yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. And you'll start talking to that hyperactive side and going, buddy, what in the hell is wrong with you? And don't forget to backtrack and ask yourself, what could I have done differently so that the outcome was better, so that the next time I'm in this situation, I can remember that I didn't get the cup for the ice cream, and no matter what size the cup is, I just should get a cup anyway. Because that way, if I don't eat it all, because if you're like me, I just can't, even a small ice cream, can't eat the whole thing, you can either save it for later or give it to someone else, and, you're not standing there with a melting ice cream. It's doing that. And for those of you who are in the process of bringing these two together, you're doing great. And this right here, this Strength and the Queen of Swords, is the balance of these two coming together. It's like it's kind of like the marriage canister, where you have the non-hyperactive side and then the hyperactive side, and these have their own 100% to it, but then this balance that these two bring together, it's their own separate canister. So you put all of them together and it just kind of balances itself out the way that it needs to. And when the hyperactive side is a little too out of control, this side comes in and says, hey buddy, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are we? 1 being and 10 being I'm ready to run someone over with my car. Because if you're at 10, we need to have a big talk of if we really need to be there. And that's what this balance does. It brings this Knight of Wands down and says, yeah, I guess I really only need to be at a 3 because I'm just like a little ticked off, So yeah, that's what that's about. And I'm trying to think. I don't think we have anything else that we can add to this, to be very honest with you, because this is kind of self-explanatory to itself. So anyway, this is the reading I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it in all its ADHD, ASD spectacular. My gosh. But anyway, good night. God bless you. We love you. And be good, behave, be happy, and be yourself. And take care.